Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. I took last night off because I had some recording and editing to do, so no time to watch movies. Kind of had to now manage my time because this channel's getting busier and busier by the minute. Anyway, enough of my problems. Let's talk about the movie. So tonight, another little gem from South Korea. I tell you what, these guys are nailing it in terms of movie production. Standards very high. Yes, they do cookie stuff. They do throw away stuff that some movies don't take themselves too seriously. But especially in the horror genre, these guys are absolutely nailing it. Can't speak more highly of them. If I know a horror movie's coming out and it's South Korean in origin, I'm kind of there. You know what I mean? I'm just by the location. When have we had that? Like, do you remember Hollywood used to be like that? And now it's just like, ugh. But this movie starts off with sort of a bit of a history lesson and making my point that there's an absolute world full of lore, stories, mythology, be it religion-based, be it folk-based. You know what I mean? There's a whole on-top well of material out there. And yet, particularly us in the West, the Anglosphere, we focus on the same 10 friggin' stories and regurgitate them every couple of years. And, oh, we'll swap the character. Oh, we're innovative. And it's the same flipping story just coming out. There's so much on-tap potential. And stuff I'm actually reading now, you know, going, oh, didn't realize that. So, for example, this story, start off, tells a story 2,500 years ago. Basically, a demon bridges from hell to earth. The idea of taking over mankind and bringing, you know, misery and pain. And it's actually Buddha who basically tries to put a stop to the demon. He does this by actually plucking out his eyes. And it turns out the eyes is a black eye and a red eye. What is it? One is anxiety and the other is despair. So it's the two negative emotions of humanity, which, strangely enough, really resonates with today because thanks to social media, thanks to mainstream media trying, because it's on its death throes because technology's changed, the way communication's changed, and it's trying to stay relevant. It's using fear porn. You know, that's see what's going on today to keep people who consume it on a daily basis in that constant state. And this is what this demon's actually trying to bring. So this is from a far off land and not a religion. Like I've spoke about it before in what was that horror movie? The Taiwanese one. I'm not familiar with Buddhism to any great degree, so I'm not speak with any sort of authority. Wouldn't pretend to. However, as somebody who loves stories, loves lore, I'm really down with this and it can actually resonate. So this whole thing, you have to see yourself to be the thing, you know, that American concept. Utter nonsense. Here's a Far Eastern religion I know of. I'm not familiar with the actually working practices of it. And I can actually see resonate with the message that it starts off with. And the idea, basically what happens is Buddha captures the black eye first, creates Saraya caskets. I probably mispronounced that. And I don't know the significance of that type of casket. But there you go. There's something if you want to delve more into the lore, something to research. You know, instantly you're starting to go, oh, don't know about this. Is that mean something? And start delving in. And that's what stories do. They make you curious. But anyway, back to the story. The red eye escapes. And how it escapes is by possessing humans. And these become known as the 7 stepping stones because every day possesses a new human. This is the original story. So each human and their lineage or their characteristics becomes a stepping stone as the red eye tries to escape. Gets the 7th stepping stone and then realizes, well, it can't escape Buddha. Yeah, it is a cool movie. It's a really cool premise. And once again, because it's I'm not personally familiar with. And if you're familiar with Buddhism or you're practicing Buddhism, actually, I'd be interested to know in the comments. If you do, how closely is this to canonical text, religious text, or is this a folk tale based on it? Like most religions have that fables, religious fables. Is this a religious fable, or is this actually religious doctrine from the Holy Book? The relevant Holy Book. Be interesting to know how this has come about. But once again, me hearing something new, hearing a new story I'm not familiar with, I'm intrigued because I'm bored, and that's not a reason why I'm doing this channel. That's why I'm forcing myself to watch just plethora of movies, because I'm looking for the new thing. I'm looking for something different, and I'm also looking at patterns and how did the pattern repeat itself, and how can we get better, and how can we be more discerning viewers of media rather than just either hating something instantly or liking it just because big company says so. you know, like I'm already falling in the trap. Like I said, it's if I hear something from South Korea, I'm in. Until I get disappointed. But even then, I've already built up but not much of a repertoire. I've watched so many movies now, and I've seen the standard that it would take a lot now to like turn me off. I just hope this doesn't go the same route as Hollywood. I hope those guys have watched, learned the mistakes that Hollywood's done, and become a long-standing movie franchise. We can only hope. We need variety. We need to break the sort of cycle. I think the more actual variety, actual diversity, of thought and ideas, and different planes of existence, because that's how there's no reason this can't be incorporated into a Western story, because travel, playing, that can be mixed with Celtic mythology, Christian mythology, or sorry, I'm not in the theist of any sort, so apologies if I offend you there, but yeah, you do the same. But there you go. You know what I mean? If whatever you follow can be incorporated, mixed genres can be, new creatures can be created, can have births. That's the whole point of imagination and storytelling. So the red eye. So it's funny that this demon has sentient eyes. So the eye actually gives itself up to Buddha to be imprisoned, but it hatches a plan. So by infecting the 7 stepping stones, the 7 people, it's kind of laid the path for its return. A little bit, you're right. Interesting to see what to do with this. Never know about Buddhist banished demons. Yeah. We don't hear that in today. We hear text and stuff, but every religion has its demon, has its God and devil. It's standard human. It's the human experience, the light and the dark, the good and the bad. As a horror fan, we like to explore the dark. That's where we like to go. And there's so much untapped wealth there that instead of, better research, experience different things, talk to people, hear the stories. My concern is a lot of stories, particularly from indigenous populations or ancient, like Aboriginal tribes, Native Americans. My co-host Cameron is, Native American, so a lot of it's passed word of mouth, and there's a potential there for so much to get lost, and I think that's why, like, European culture of the British Isles, because of the written word, things were able to be put down. That's why so much lore is preserved. But when it's just passed down word of mouth, then that does get lost, it gets distorted. There's no anchor point. And I think there's a chance that there's so many stories could get lost in the ether. And we're not talking vast amounts of money. We're just talking a few people that care in the local area and don't try to be Hollywood, essentially. Don't try to be that. Sorry, this is get off on a rant, but once again, this is a movie I've enjoyed. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to pick the plot apart because I want you to go and watch it. You kind of see the pattern with these things. If I don't enjoy a story, I'll pick it apart because I'm like, here, I'm going to save you some time. This I want you to go see. Go and watch. Yeah, so I'm not going to pick too much of the plot apart. But what happens is, before the modern day, we have a professor. He's on the Indian-Pakistani border, and he's busy in search of one of the caskets. And he discovers the casket for the red eye, and then this brings it back. He's shunned by his community because, yeah, he was trying to prove a theory. He must have got funding for it in the first place. Sorry, I'm going to take a wee drink. He must have got funding for it in the first place to go there. You don't just travel the world and go to places without finance or have a team. Like, you don't just walk into the the desert. You need a team of people, or else you're kind of dead. But there you go. So he, after making the discovery, and this is you see it, the whole thing opens up and it's revealed to him. It's an archaeological find in its own right. This is him finding this box and the way it's carved and the dating. It's equivalent to finding like a new pyramid in Egypt. This is, it's not significant, but I suppose the story needs to happen. So he gets shunned. So he's like, I'll show you. And what's the smart thing? Okay, horror fans, what do you never do when you've got a box with a demon inside? So yes, and he doesn't just open it. He reads up the ritual. He knows what it is. So of course he gets some blood, mixes it with his own, and then I'm gonna wake up the demon. That'll show you. Yeah, so you can kind of guess where the rest of the story's going. I love horror. Like there's even internationally, the same tropes. I'm gonna go into the basement on my own, with no phone signal because that's clever. I've hit the killer in the head once. I'm just gonna walk away and not hit him another 20 times to make sure. Gotta love horror victims. They're great. Never change. You foolish people. So yeah, Professor opens the box and awakens a demon, and sure enough, Ping starts a cycle. We then move to a Buddhist monk, where an elderly monk and a young acolyte, and it's funny because he's on a vow of silence, an imposed vow of silence, the student, because he's obviously upset his master. He's like, Master, when can I speak again? He's like, when I say. And then they get the whisperings of, the red eye awakening again. And then we know that the prophecy's going, it's the start of the prophecy. He's saying it's Chung Suk, I think. Sorry, excuse my butchering the pronunciations, but yeah. He basically goes to send him to find another monk, basically a retired monk. Someone's left. Same as a defrock priest sort of thing, in monk terms. He was a monk, but he left. But he's the only one who can deal with this. It's all about destiny being passed down and taking responsibility of your destiny. That's kind of the theme of this movie. We'll start then. The red eye starts to make its journey and find people. Who does he find first? He takes over a hunter. Yeah, somebody out hunting in the woods. The red eye takes over him, and then when he's possessed, the body basically is under control of the red eye. Goes to a hotel room, kills. There's a couple there. Kills the bloke, possesses the woman because she's the next stepping stone, and then that's a brutal murder. And then once the eye leaves the body just becomes a decomposed corpse. So it actually steals the life energy and essence from a body. So then we enter the police. The police find us going, what the hell is this? There's no answer, because on the security cameras, they see this guy, shambling into the hotel room, and then the girl shambling on her way out, even though everything was fine. And then there's two dead blokes, and they're both desiccated corpses. Because, yeah, great. And this police are going, what the hell is this? And then the main detective on the case, his partner's like, oh, we could go to a shaman and find out. And he's like poo-pooing the whole idea. So what we've got here is even that modern concept of losing, modern society have lost our ability to deal with the afterlife or the spiritual realm, because uh, science taking over magic. There's no one. I mean, there's very little wonder now in the world. So there's very little magic in the world, and people have lost that kind of sparkle. So if an entity came, can we deal with it with a modern society? Same with religion. That question's posed. And the good thing about this is it's not telling you right or wrong. It's posing the question as a thinking point. Have we lost, is the modern society the best thing on rejecting the old ways, or can the old ways be brought with modern society? Does everything have to be rewritten? And then when something like this happens, is there a coping, way to cope? And all that kind of stuff's played out in this, because the detective represents the rational world, trying to deal with the supernatural. And then when we meet the monk, he's the spiritual world trying to exist in the rational world, and he's an outcast, and he's already got in trouble with the police. He's known to them. He can't just go about as a holy monk, because basically his mission is to stop the red eye reaching the seventh stepping stone, and the only way he can do that is by identifying and killing them. And he's a moral quandary as well, because like, these people haven't done anything. They're not evil people. They're just by the fate. And once again, it's a story of fate. And do you fight against your fate? Do you embrace your fate? Is it fair to have fate thrust upon you? I mean, it's a classic story of heroes and anti-heroes and all that good stuff, and good versus evil. But it's that whole thing of the monk has resisted against his destiny, which is to stop the seven pillars, or sorry, the seven stepping stones being crossed. And the whole thing is it's one a day, and the 8th day is when the eyes reunite and can bring hell on earth, and that's what the whole struggle's about. All in all, really good movie. Like I said, I don't want to spoil the plot for plot, but they're the main characters that basically carry on the journey. We meet the Virgin, who's one of the seven stepping stones, and the apprentice kind of falls for, feels the need to protect her. And then it's like the moral quandary. Well, this woman, to stop the end of the world, has to be killed. And then there's some trickery and shenanigans goes on. I'm not spoiling it because it's actually quite an in-depth. There's quite a lot going on plot-wise, so you have to pay attention. Another thing I'll point out is don't be put off at the start if you don't like subtitles. The beginning is subtitled and then it's English dubbed. My only complaint is why are the only people that dub movies in the English from Southern California, and why do they all sound like bro dudes and cheerleaders? There's plenty of people in the world that speak really fluent English, especially performers and actors that do it. It's possible they actually get people, Korean people, for example, seeing this as a Korean movie. I'm pretty sure it's possible to get Korean voice actors that speak English to voice over these parts. It doesn't all have to be that really irritating Americanized, And for those that aren't American, please understand that the world doesn't revolve around you. Most of us are quite happy, but I don't expect everything to be in a British accent when I hear it. I just need to understand it. That's why I prefer subtitles anyway, because I like the original. When somebody's acting, they have the tone, inflection, because they're present in the moment and their physicality in the scene. They'll bring something that a voice actor can't over the top. That can't be replicated, but if you at least get people from the same region and get the sound, and it doesn't have to be heavily accented. I'm not talking about parody here. I'm talking about just a bit of authenticity. There's nothing wrong with that. And once again, as the South Korean film industry is growing and really, maybe normies don't notice it because it seems to be a lot of the horror movies are the ones that are really taken off. But there's opportunity for them to hire their own voice actors and actually create an English version, an English overdub, without going to your typical, Southern Californian, generic American accent, which can be a bit grating at time, especially in this sort of environment, because you need a certain intensity, and that doesn't bring it here. It's the only thing that kind of takes you away. But thankfully, there's enough room in this movie to breathe. It's actually in the middle. It's a bit of a slow burner. It's going along, and we're hearing the monk's backstory, which I'll not spoil because it's relevant to the plot. But why he is the way he is, even how he became a monk, isn't the traditional method. So that's, it's an interesting story. So there's tones where it's down, but when the intense parts of the movie happen, you can kind of get dialed out slightly because of the voice acting. But the movie's still good. So I don't want to be here. I wouldn't be able to review if I didn't pick certain bits apart, but that's my only complaint. Coming up to the end of the movie and the sort of climax, really well done. You're still not 100% sure what way it's going to go. And it's not cliche. It's, there's back and forward. There's mind games being played because we're messing with a demon after all. Unlike other horror monsters, demons are clever. We've had the conversation about ghosts being not very bright. I watched Beetlejuice yesterday for a laugh. No point in reviewing that because if you don't like that movie, you're dead from the neck up and you've no soul. But there's classic ghosts that aren't stupid, but they are stupid at the same time. Because like, I don't know what to do, and they keep losing the handbook and stuff. But ghosts, zombies, your generic vampire, werewolf, zombie hybrid thing isn't very bright. But demons are. Demons are tricksters. They're clever. They'll mess with your mind. That's how they get in. So they have to be clever. You can't have a dumb demon. And this is played out in the movie at the end. The demon's not just a shambling, even though it's possessed the body. And there's a bit of the sort of cracking and animating. But the reason it's crepitus, when bones crunch together, plays a bit of that. But then we know that the longer the demon's in the body, it's actually dissolving the body. It's literally sucking the life out of it. So it makes sense. Doesn't mean the thing's stupid. Yeah, back to the conversation we had. Yeah, ghosts are stupid. Even the smart ones. But demons aren't, and that's the whole point. Demons are wily, they're clever, they'll use any technique to get what they want, and then that's really brought across brilliantly in this movie. And I'll not spoil the ending. A bit of an after scene of the repercussions of exactly what goes on. And it's not just your typical smash the evil thing, put it back in the box. There's actually human interaction in the human play and forgiveness. There's a bit of that too because of stuff that's happened and anger and unresolved issues. There's a lot in this. Like I said, you have to pay attention. It's not a popcorn flick. So if you're expecting a popcorn flick, yeah, mouth nearly worked there. That's not what you're getting here, but it's still a lot of fun. So there you go, folks. There's my review. Hope you enjoy it. Please check the movie out. And Dale, who's in the chat at the moment, and I are coming on tomorrow night. We're going to talk about Midsummer. That's going to be fun. And keep an eye on our channel. Really busy. Lots going on. We've got our Friday episodes. We've got our unboxing episodes. Got the reviews. We're on this weekend. We've got Cameron and Adam on this weekend. We're going to talk about Dog Soldiers. And during the week, obviously, I'll watch cheesy movies and talk to them about it. So there you go, folks. Until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.